thanks God. I'm just looking at our feed. Our panel guests are there. This is always great to know because we will now come to creative economy for sustainable development. This is going to be the topic. Also, because I became kind of nervous, we had kind of a switch when it comes to the panelists. I'll come to that in a second. But let me start first and foremost to say that at the 74th session of the United Nations General Assembly 2021, and that it was declared that the International Year of Creative Economy for Sustainable Development. This is the year for that. This declaration underscores the responsibility that the creative sector has to support the achievement of the SDGs through raising awareness, promoting cooperation, sharing best practices, and supporting a resilient environment. And today we brought together, as I already can see her in the picture, we brought together Abrima Erwiah, right? Co-founder and president at Studio 189. And there's been a minor change. We do have Jakhya Rahman-Corey, which is director of the Swarovski Foundation. Is that correct?
Absolutely, thank you.
Well, thank you that you found time, and you have no idea how glad I am that we have a stable connection these days. This is still something that we need to work on. So, Abrima, the thing is, like, when I just went through your references, I'm just surprised that you still have like some space left, like in the back, because you had like so many awards for so many things. You put everyone in. Well, I'm really embarrassed, and I feel like I'm not doing just a bit of that engagement that you have. So, starting with you, how do you balance creativity and sustainability within your operation? Can that coexist?
Great. So first, I'm just going to say thank you for having us, and just a really brief about what we're doing. So my name is Abrima. I have a brand called Studio 189. It's based between the United States and West Africa. We make clothes and we make accessories working along the value chain, specifically with women, to empower the value chain and create opportunities. It's interesting that you asked that question because for me, creativity is actually at the heart of everything we're doing. And the reason we existed, we launched in 2013 following Eve Ensler saying that 1 in 3 women will be raped and sexually violated in her lifetime, when the V-Day campaign did 1 billion rising, asked for 1 billion people to take a stance against sexual violence. And we said that so many people had come into their own through their creativity and the craft. And when we think about the value chain and the supply chain, so many people have been through so much trauma in so many different situations, but we thought it'd be really impactful to take back the narrative and think about a lot of the beauty and the contribution and the impact creativity can have on the global supply chain versus focusing specifically only on aid. And in that being said, I was thinking about your question, and for us, I think that creativity is really at the heart. It's the heartbeat. In communities I'm from Ghana, and a lot of our communities, storytelling, creativity, I think these are kind of technology systems that we can use and apply. And it's been like this for hundreds of years. And I was thinking that, a lot of, scarcity and a lot of need can also bring creativity and can breed creativity and alternative solutions for solving problems. So, how do I do it? I try to dream of the impossible and think of what's not there and think of the need and listen to the community and do it in a collaborative manner, working together, making clothes and textiles and coming up with ideas to tell stories. But more than telling stories at the foundation, building a supply chain that can last for a long time and that benefits the community and that's driven by the community and that's focused on humans first and the general ecosystem and working together. So,
well, I couldn't agree more to when it comes to creativity. So, Jakhya, maybe you could tell us what steps is the Swarovski Foundation taking to support sustainable development within the creative sector?
So may I also say thank you very much for having me here. And Abrima, you're an example of what creators can do. So honestly, well done. And I look forward to seeing more of your success in the future. So what the Swarovski Foundation are doing, it really is based on the vision of Daniel Swarovski, the founder of the Swarovski crystal business. That said, to achieve success, it's not only to think of yourself, but of others. So with this founding value, we have 3 areas of focus. culture, creativity, human empowerment, and environment. And with this, we believe that creatives are pivotal to change and aligned to the Sustainable Development Goals. And so as of this year, as you mentioned, Patrice, it is the creative year for sustainability. And therefore, we have launched our own program called the Creatives for Our Future. And this is in partnership with the United Nations Office for Partnership. And when we launched this, we saw that applicants applied from 72 countries and we received about 400. And when you think about that need and that gap and that desire from creatives, and we only could allocate about 9 funding opportunities, you can see the desire to really use creativity for change. And so with these 9 cohorts that we have with the Swarovski Foundation, they're aligning their work to see, going back to Abrima, what you were saying, how is it human-centric? How is it addressing a lot of the environmental challenges? And really seeing that creative solutions can address social environmental issues in the world. And so what we feel with the foundation, with this program, not only with that, it's building not only the funding and the financial support, but also the network. We see that barriers to access for many creatives is not only financial, but it's also who do you know within the system. And so we have paired many of these young cohorts with mentors within the industry. And what you're seeing is the potential, sharing of knowledge, understanding, and really inspiring many people to say what is achievable, and again, connecting the dots. So happy to share that the foundation is supporting in this manner, but also many great industries and as well as educational institutions like Central St. Martin's, Parsons, CFDA, to name a few. So hopefully we can build on partnerships to really support creatives in the future. Thank you.
Well, who knows? Maybe the next partnership is just happening right there, the 2 screens like next to each other. Because Abrima, I know you don't want to show off. I wonder where you were receiving that vase behind you. This doesn't seem the only item which is not an award. But so it seems everything comes easy to you. But I assume that at a certain point there must have been some challenges. And we would like to know, what kind of challenges did you experience on your journey to develop a creative and sustainable brand? And how did you overcome these? Is it easy for others as well? Or what's your advice?
It's not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy still. I think that, yes, we have experienced a great deal of challenges. I think starting with when I decided to leave my job and start this journey, shortly thereafter, there was the Ebola breakout in West Africa, which was not in Ghana, but it still impacted the region. And and people were like, "Oh, don't go back there, don't stay there," and that was not an option, and now with the pandemic that we're experiencing currently, also last year, everything from civil rights movements that we experienced last year and that we're still experiencing, and I think the whole journey is, packed with trials and tribulations, from, difficulty accessing water, power outages that, go on and off, dealing with really human issues that are serious. But within the context of that, there's joy and there is beauty and there is the willingness to kind of get past that and to try to do something different and to take back control of your own environment. And, I think that is what drives me. I'm really much driven by, and this is going to be my advice also for others, you can't do it without community. I think I learned through this journey that you really have to invest in each other, and that you have to figure out, what everyone's skill sets are, but locally, wherever you're from, but also around the world, towards these greater shared mission, because it's a big endeavor to try to make these forms of changes and to try to consider creating a world that might be a bit different, using the agency of fashion and its impact in sustainability and what it's doing, releasing CO2 emissions, et cetera, all the stuff that we know. But I think community is everything. I think it's the foundation of what we're doing. I think it's having faith that you're doing something for a greater cause, and then trusting that process and allowing people to make mistakes and learn from their mistakes, even when it's difficult. One of the greatest lessons I've learned is having patience, and I am not the most patient. I'm still learning that lesson, but it takes time. It takes time. It takes time. It takes training, and it takes a willingness to learn. Rosario and I wanted to do this because I look at my heritage and my background, and I know that. And you were just talking about access. That's the greatest gift I was given. My mom is from Mississippi. We were born out of slavery. My father's from West Africa and came in the 70s after independence, and I was given access and opportunity to look around the room and speak multiple languages and do all these things. But I realized that a lot of other people were not given that same level of access. And at some point, I realized that it was also my responsibility to take accountability for how I was playing a role in that. And my business partner, Rosario, is the same. She's an actress, but somebody discovered her and somebody created space for her, and somebody was a factory worker in her family to make space for her. And so, if our family could do that for us, then I think that the least we can do is try to uplift and collaborate with others who are also doing that towards, a greater good. And I always say that it may not be the first person that's going to be the person who's going to have the greatest amount of impact. Maybe that person will have a huge change. Maybe they won't, but it could be, it could be their child. It could be their child's child. We have people that worked with us, for example, who might have been, I don't know, cleaning, for example, and that are integral to the supply chain. But then after that, their money was able to pay for their kids to go to school, and then after that, they got more jobs. And this is over the course of only a few years. We've been doing this for 7 years. Imagine what can be possible in 50 years, in 20 years, in 100 years. So I think it's about building legacy and building an interconnected support system where we can all rise together.
Well, first and foremost, you didn't have to mention that your partner, Rosario Dawson, is an actress. As a Star Wars fan, I'm well aware of that. Thank you so much. And also Swarovski, looking good, Star Wars-wise, but this is not going to be the topic right now. One thing, you mentioned quite often the word community, which to a certain degree, like sustainability, has become kind of a buzzword because some people see like, oh, the benefit of a community, but at the same time, it's also like a burden. As you said, it also takes a responsibility. How you handle that responsibility for your community, because it's not only what you can take out of the community, what just that you can give to them. How do you handle that burden on a personal note, just to be aware of that, of the responsibility, that role model that you have become? How do you handle that?
I mean, this is for you. For me? For you?
For you.
For me.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I feel that that I am part of that community. I don't feel myself disassociated with it. So I take responsibility. Even in the pandemic, they were writing me directly, from whatever the conditions were, checking on me, and I'm checking on them. I take responsibility, and I don't think I take so much as I think it's I think we share. I think we work together. We address problems together. We solve them together. It takes longer than it should because of that shared responsibility of going back and forth until we get to the solution. Because I learned really early on that you can't just impose your ideas. It really has to be driven by like you said, it could be a buzzword, but by people. People have to want to do it. People have to understand what they're doing. People have to agree to do it. And people have to take the leadership to do it themselves, because you can't be everywhere all the time. And it's also not just for you. Ideas that we have are not driven by us alone. They're driven by all of the people that engage with us, and people tend to leave and come back. And I think what's so special about what we're doing in particular is that it's not often that you see two women of color at the helm of a fashion design house doing the type of work we're doing. So even by just doing that, I noticed that a lot of people realize that they can also break a glass ceiling and keep pushing forward, and making change and taking those positions to go back to school or to get other degrees. They don't necessarily stay. Sometimes they stay, sometimes they come back, but it's not a one-way street. It's 100% and interconnected back and forth. And they hold us accountable. They call us out if they don't like something, they're fully engaged and they make the choices, themselves. And we do it together. And I don't feel myself as a person sitting outside of the community, I think that this is our family, it's our cousins, we're friends, we're related, we love each other. So that's how I feel.
Thank you, Abrima, for that insight. Jakhya, what are actionable steps that creatives can take today for further support global sustainable development? And looking to the future, what more would you like to see from the creative sector in support of sustainable development?
Absolutely, thank you. And using Abrima, I think a lot of the things that you've mentioned are great examples. It is about connecting with the community and how oneself is setting the example and how that narrative and that exchange is really important. So when we are looking at creatives, what can they do to support sustainable development is first learn and understand what is out there, what can they do, understand from their position of power, of influence, where is on the supply chain, not only is it the production, the distribution, but going back to the human-centric and that human value, how is it impacting the community? So we know that environment does impact the community, and also just social challenges can occur. So it's really listening to the community and, again, having that exchange. So I think by learning is important, inspiring other is also another action. And by taking those steps and showing how one person can take those actions, I really feel that it will set the example and be a role model for many other people. And Abrima, again, I think I'm just using yourself as an example because you've inspired me as well. It's how, again, looking at those conversations and being accountable. And I think it shows from one individual, you are accountable, but as a community, you come together with collective accountability. So I think all of that kind of stems with actions that people can take.
Thank you for this one. I'm just asking, Ida, do we have any questions coming from the crowd at this point?
Can I add something?
Please, Abrima. You're part of the panel.
Okay. I want to add to what you said because I love what you just said also. I think when we think about creativity and fashion, there was a time, this is what actually really also inspires me. There was a time when our communities were kind of closer, right? We knew who made our clothes. We knew, this person did this, that person did that, and we exchanged skill sets. And so we were close enough in the supply chain that we would know if there was immediate impact. Why would you want to hurt somebody when you could see the effects of plastics, or you could see the dyes in their water, or you can go to a village and you can see that because you ordered maybe one too many t-shirts, or you weren't mindful about your decision-making process, that those inks maybe ended up in their water, and then the water ended up with, they're washing their clothes, or they're fishing from there, and then it's, chemicals. Or like, you wouldn't want, I don't think you would intentionally want this. Or I hope not, and I believe that over time with, the advent of globalization and all the changes over time, we've become so disassociated with this supply chain that I think the mission here, and through creativity and sustainability, this idea that you asked at the beginning, is to kind of reconnect these dots and remind, the consumer and the producer that we're actually sharing this space together, but allowing them the opportunity to talk, to understand that there's an actual person buying something, and that when you make something, that journey is entering into their actual life, their weddings, their ceremonies, they're something very important for them. And they want to keep that hopefully for a long time and pass it on from generations. And likewise, when the consumer is buying something, it is not a machine, and I think the pandemic, I really hope has taught this to people, that people make sacrifices with how they ship, with how they move products from point A to point Z, working through difficult conditions or not difficult conditions to get it to a person, and I just think that connection, when I talk about community, I'm really talking about also going back a little bit to the heart of that and reconnecting those dots, even if it's at a global level, but making it closer. So, because I think people care, and I do think we can impact change if we can bring a little bit more humanity into the supply chain.
Wow, Thank you so much. Really, this is we left. Actually, we don't have any more time, so we're not going to have any more questions coming in. But thank you so much. That was really like a perfect way of ending up this day today, and it was an honor just to have shared like this panel with you guys. So thank you so much, Abrima. Thank you so much, Jakhya, for all your insights. Thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you so
Appreciate
very
it.
much.
Great. Well, what a way to end up at this and this wrap up our conversation today. We would like to share closing statements from United Nations and industry representatives. As the first message coming to you is from Anne-Marie Hu, Acting Executive Director of the United Nations Office for Partnerships from the USA.
Hello, my name is Anne-Marie, and I'm honored to help close the first Frankfurt Fashion Sustainable Development Goals Summit. I'd like to share my heartfelt thanks and recognize our co-host today, the CEO of Messe Frankfurt, Detlef Braun. Detlef, your commitment to driving sustainability and responsible practices within the fashion industry is impressive. It is your vision that has made Frankfurt Fashion Week and this summit possible. Many thanks also to Lord Mayor of Frankfurt, Peter Feldman. Thank you, Anita Tillman, Managing Partner of the Premium Group. And our thanks to Hesse's Minister of Economics, Energy, Transport, and Housing, and Vice Minister President, Tarek Al-Wazir, and our very close partner, Carrie Bannigan, founder of the Conscious Fashion Campaign. As we have seen from the insightful discussions, Frankfurt Fashion Week and the SDG Summit offer an invaluable platform to inspire innovation and sustainable solutions within the fashion industry. With all of us working together, we can promote responsible production and consumption practices. These solutions will help the world keep the promise of the SDGs. As the United Nations Secretary General said, this is the make it or break it year for action towards the SDGs. And making peace with nature is a defining test of the 21st century. Today's actions will determine tomorrow's world, and now's the time to put people and the planet first. Just by joining us at this summit today, you are leading the charge towards a greener and a more just future. We hope you will continue this journey together with the United Nations. I look forward to seeing you and hearing about your progress at the SDG Summit next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne-Marie Hu. And next, Paloma Costa, member of the United Nations Secretary General's Youth Advisory Group on Climate Change from Brazil.
Hello everyone, my name is Paloma Costa and I am from Brazil. I am so happy to be here today and to have this opportunity to share my message with you all. The most important thing I want to share here today is what I learned with my friend Patrice Bouédibéla. He is a representative of the youth indigenous from Brazil, representing the Kayapo people. And one day he told me that we need to reforestate our conscience. Thinking on this, I'm here to show and say to you that scientists said we are seeing the signs. Climate change is impacting all of us and all of our lives. The fashion industry has an important role when it comes both to impacting and leading the transition that is needed. What if we could do different? Imagine that. We know that the fashion industry has now so many impacts, but what if we could change the ways and the conscience people think they need to be consuming and start valuing other things? For example, I'm so beautiful here with jewelries and paintings of my colleagues that are based on the forest and the communities. And by buying these things from them, I help them and help their communities and their families, and to make a circular economy that helps providing and helps sustaining our forests. So imagine that. Imagine if we are putting lives and the global community, humanity, and all of our life first of anything. First of consuming, first of producing more and more fashion products that will not be used, So what if we could do different? That's why I'm here, to invite all of you to do different.
Obrigado, Paloma Costa, and last but not least, Mariah Cornejo, founder and creative director of sustainable fashion brand Zero, and Mariah Cornejo, again from the United States.
Hi, my name is Maria Cornejo of Zero Maria Cornejo in New York, and I just wanted to say that as a creative community, it's more important than ever, as we are recovering from the pandemic, that we create mindfully and with sustainable goals in mind, both on a human level, on a material level, to minimize transport and resources. I think we can all do it, and there's so much going on right now with science that we need to really make the most of the new developments and really work with recycling, upcycling, and minimizing the processes in order to create a more sustainable world on every level. Thank you.
And the final remarks. Well, thank you for your insightful statement and to all the speakers who joined us today. It was a pleasure, of course, to listen and to learn from all of you. I must say I was very pleasantly surprised. And as we focus on today, it is a critical time to make sustainability the priority across the fashion sector as we continue to recover from COVID-19. With 2021 marking the second year of the decade of action to deliver the SDGs by their intended target of 2030, now is the time to make peace with nature, abolish social inequalities, and seize the opportunities of digital technology. This is a bold agenda that requires engagement from all stakeholders across the fashion industry. To all our viewers and audience members, thank you for being here to learn more about how you can take part in this mission. We look forward to witnessing the progress you will make. Stay tuned with Frankfurt Fashion Week. Tomorrow you will have the chance to see the last day of the International Fashion Sustain Conference, where sustainability in fashion comes into action. And registration is still possible via the Frankfurt Fashion Week studio. And all I have to add to it again is saying thank you so much for your attention. Let's hope that things are going to get better and better and better. It's all up to us. My name is Patrice Bouédibéla. Thank you. Dankeschön. Stay healthy.